In this video, we shall be critically analyzing and showcasing every single bit of info and detail that played out at the Paijahame District Court yesterday being the 25th of June of 2025. This video is a continuation of yesterday's briefing. Just in case you don't know, yesterday we uploaded a video around 8 p.m. showcasing the first part, the part 1 of the court session, and this is the continuation and the part 2. Yes, just in case you don't know, we'll be using illustrative pictures and videos to better portray and clearly define our point. Mind you, these are not official pictures and videos from the Paijahame District Court. These are for illustrative purposes only. Yes, also feel to fact check us. You can go to the Paijahame District Court official website to get first-hand info and first-hand transcripts for yourself. With all of that being said, let's go back to the courtroom and see what followed suit. Remember that in our video from yesterday, we stopped at the point where the judge asked for a recess. He asked for the whole court session to go for a short break. Yes, when they came back from the short break, they continued with the bail application of Mr. Simon. Just in case you don't know, Simon's legal counsel team has filed for a possible bail, and yesterday they had the first briefing and the first court session for the bail application. So now, after the whole conversation for the bail was concluded, the prosecuting lawyer informed the judge that they want to face the fourth charge leveled on Mr. Simon, which is tax evasion. Yes, just in case you don't know, Mr. Simon has tax evasion in his charges, and the prosecuting lawyer has brought it before the presiding judge. So let's see what followed suit after the submission. So the presiding judge responded by saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, the court is now back in session. We are here to continue hearing the case of the state versus Simon. The charge in question is tax evasion. That is, the deliberate act of not paying taxes that are legally owed to the government. This is a serious matter. Taxes are what keep our country running. They help fund our roads, our hospitals, our schools, and many public services that every citizen uses. When one person refuses to pay their fair share, it affects everyone. It takes away from the system that supports us all." Earlier today, we listened to the opening statement from the lawyers. The prosecution presented documents and reports which, according to them, show that Mr. Simon did not report all of his income and failed to pay what he was supposed to. They also mentioned several warning letters that were sent to him, which he allegedly ignored. We also heard a short response from the defense. Mr. Simon's lawyer claims that either there was a mistake in tax records or that Mr. Simon simply didn't understand some parts of the tax process. Those claims will need to be tested with real evidence. As we continue with this case, we will move into cross-examinations and allow both sides to ask questions, show more documents, and bring in witnesses if needed. I want to remind both lawyers to stay focused on the facts, no unnecessary argument, no distractions. This court is here to find the truth, and we will not be rushed, but we will not allow time to be wasted. Mr. Simon, you are still under oath. That means you are legally required to tell the truth at all times. If you lie or hide the truth, there will be serious consequences. Please answer every question clearly and honestly. Let us now proceed. And like I said, this is a statement. This is an introductory comment made by the presiding judge where he brought in the case of Simon's tax evasion. And now let's see what the prosecuting lawyer had to say, because he stood up to make a speech in reference to the judge's statement. The prosecuting lawyer said, and I quote, "Thank you, my lord. As we move forward, the prosecution will present further evidence to show that the defendant, Mr. Simon, knowingly failed to declare his full income and deliberately avoided paying the correct taxes over a period of several years. This is not a case of confusion or honest mistake. The evidence will show a clear pattern of hiding earnings, ignoring official notices, and benefiting from income that was never reported to the tax authorities. We will also be calling a financial investigator to walk this court through the audit trail, show how the funds moved, what was declared, and what was not. The people have a right to expect fairness, while most citizens follow the law and pay their taxes. Those who try to cheat the system must be held accountable. We are ready to proceed." And the defense lawyer, that is Simon's lawyer, stood up and also made a statement in reference to what the judge had to say. Simon's lawyer said, and I quote, "Much appreciated, my lord. In response to the prosecution, we wish to make one thing clear. Mr. Simon is not a criminal, nor is he someone trying to cheat the system. Yes, there may have been gaps or errors in his tax records, but we intend to show that these were not intentional. They were caused by confusion, poor financial advice, and lack of clear communication, not by any plan to deceive or defraud." The prosecution speaks of patterns and assumptions, but we will ask the court to focus on the facts, not speculation. We believe that once all the evidence is examined properly, it will become clear that Mr. Simon did not act with criminal intent. He deserves a fair hearing, and that is all we ask. We are ready to continue. At this point in time, the prosecuting lawyer asked the judge if he could bring in his very first witness to testify or to give testimonies about the fact that Mr. Simon evaded tax. The prosecuting lawyer said, and I quote, "My lord, with your kind permission, the prosecution respectfully seeks leave of this honorable court to call a witness from the Finnish Tax Administration. The individual we intend to present is a senior tax officer directly involved in reviewing the defense financial records. This witness will provide expert testimony on the inconsistencies in Mr. Simon's tax filings, as well as explain how the amounts owed were calculated in accordance with Finnish tax laws. Their testimony is both relevant and necessary to help the court understand the technical aspects of this case, specifically the patterns of underreporting, the notices issued to the defendant, and the financial findings of the tax audit. We believe that this testimony will assist the court in establishing the deliberate nature of the alleged tax evasion and reinforce the credibility of the prosecution's case. We are prepared to proceed with the witness examination upon the court's approval. Thank you, my lord." And the presiding judge granted the prosecuting lawyer the permission to bring in his very first witness by saying, "Request noted. Having listened to the prosecution's application and considering the relevance and importance of the testimony being proposed, this court grants full permission for the witness from the Finnish Tax Administration to be brought forward. The court recognizes that expert insights from the tax authority may assist in clarifying complex financial details and supporting the understanding of this case. The prosecution is therefore allowed to proceed with the presentation of this witness. Let the court clerk make the necessary arrangements. The witness shall be sworn in and heard under the same conditions as every other witness, truthfully, completely, and subject to cross-examination by the defense. You may proceed." And this was a statement coming from the presiding judge, asking the prosecuting lawyer to bring in his very first witness to testify against Simon. Yes, and the prosecuting lawyer called in this very first witness, who, like I said, is an officer from the Finnish Tax Administration. He walked into the stands and he was sworn in as a testifier. He started by saying, "My lord, my name is this, and I currently serve as a senior tax auditor with the Finnish Tax Administration, where I have worked for over 15 years. My duties include overseeing complex personal and corporate tax reviews, concluding forensic audits, and ensuring compliance with the national tax laws of Finland. I appear before the Honorable Court today in connection with our investigation into the tax records of Mr. Simon. Hereinafter referred as to the defendant. This investigation was initiated following multiple red flags raised by our internal monitoring system and reports received from third-party financial institutions regarding undeclared income. The very first point here we looked at is the initial review and audit trigger. The defendant came under review after our annual income matching system detected a consistent discrepancy between declared income and third-party income reports submitted by banks, employers, and service providers over a period of 5 consecutive tax years. Specifically, from 2018 to 2022, we observed that while Mr. Simon declared an annual income averaging around 22,000 euros, transactional records revealed inflows exceeding 70,000 euros to 90,000 euros per year into accounts registered in his name. These figures raised compliance concerns and triggered an official audit. The number 2 point here is audit process and request for clarification. In accordance with Finnish tax protocol, we issued an initial inquiry notice on March 12, 2003, requesting documentation to explain the income variance. Mr. Simon failed to respond within the 30-day window. A follow-up notice was issued on the 18th of April of 2023. Again, without response, the matter was then escalated to formal audit proceedings in May of 2023. During the audit, we obtained a full account history through lawful data sharing agreement with domestic financial institutions. We reviewed deposits, business transactions, and incoming funds from various sources, including foreign remittances, online service payments, and income from self-employment activities. The third key point here is findings of the audit. Yes, the audit uncovered the following: multiple undeclared income streams from freelance consulting work, digital services, and cryptocurrency transactions, use of 2 secondary bank accounts not previously disclosed in any of the tax filings submitted by Mr. Simon, records of recurring payments from international platforms such as PayPal and Wise, none of which were reported to the Finnish Tax Administration, failure to register a small business entity despite evidence of ongoing commercial activity, cash withdrawals and transfers designed to avoid detection or leave audit trails incomplete. The total undeclared income identified across the 5-year period is estimated at about €281,000, with unpaid taxes amounting to approximately €72,500, excluding penalties and interest. The fourth point here is legal implications and classification. Under Finnish tax law, specifically Section 29 of the Tax Procedure Act, the deliberate withholding of income, use of undisclosed accounts, and failure to respond to lawful tax authority inquiries constitute international tax evasion. This classification is supported by both the scale of the evasion and the pattern of concealment. We found no evidence of error or misunderstanding. On the contrary, the defendant appears to have engaged to deliberate actions to mislead the tax authorities, including transferring income to personal accounts held under alternative name variations, a common evasion technique we monitor closely. It is the conclusion of the Finnish Tax Administration that Mr. Simon intentionally failed to report a substantial portion of his income over several years. These omissions were not minor, accidental, or technical in nature. They were repeated, deliberate, and financially significant. We have provided the court with full documentation of our audit findings, bank statements, email communications, and transaction records to support this conclusion. I'm prepared to clarify any section of our report or answer any questions that the court or counsel may have. Thank you, my lord. And this is a strong statement coming from this officer from Finnish Tax Administrative System. At this point in time, the prosecuting lawyer asked the presiding judge to grant him the permission to examine his witness, and the judge gave him his full permission. And here's the conversation between the prosecuting lawyer and his witness. The prosecuting lawyer said, "Good morning, Mr." He mentioned his name. "Kindly state your full name and your position for the record." The witness responded by saying, "Good morning, my name is this, and I'm a senior tax auditor with the Finnish Tax Administration." The prosecuting lawyer said, "How long have you worked in that role?" The witness said, "I've worked as a tax auditor for over 15 years. My duties include conducting personal and corporate audits, reviewing complex financial records, and ensuring individuals and businesses comply with tax laws in Finland." The prosecuting lawyer said, "Let us go directly to the matter before this court. Are you familiar with the tax records of the defendant, Mr. Simon?" The witness said, "Yes, I am. I led the audit and investigation into Mr. Simon's tax filings, covering the period from year 2018 to the year 2022. The prosecuting lawyer said, "What initially caused the Finnish Tax Administration to begin reviewing Mr. Simon's financial activities?" The witness said, "The review was triggered by our annual income matching system. There were large discrepancies between the income Mr. Simon reported to the tax authorities and the amounts reported by the financial institutions and third-party sources. For example, while he declared around €22,000 per year in income, his bank account showed annual deposits exceeding €70,000. The prosecuting lawyer said, "After identifying these discrepancies, what actions did your office take?" The witness responded by saying, "We sent an official inquiry to Mr. Simon on the 12th of March of 2023. requesting that he explain the inconsistency. He did not respond. A second notice was sent in April, which was received, no reply. We then launched a formal audit, and the prosecuting lawyer said, during the audit, what specific evidence did you uncover? The witness said, we discovered that Mr. Simon maintained 2 undeclared bank accounts. These accounts received regular payments from online platforms, freelance clients, and foreign sources. None of this income was reported in tax returns. We also found cryptocurrency transactions and business activities that were never declared or registered despite being active for several years. The prosecuting lawyer continued by saying, was there any indication that Mr. Simon's failure to report this income was accidental? The witness said, no, there was not. The pattern of activity using multiple accounts, ignoring official notices, and spreading income across different platforms shows clear intent to avoid detection. This was not a simple misunderstanding. It was a deliberate effort to conceal earnings. The prosecuting lawyer said, can you estimate how much income was not reported during the years under review? The witness said, yes, our audit showed that approximately 281,000 euros of income was not reported between 2018 and 2022. The unpaid taxes on this income amounts to roughly 72,500 euros, excluding any penalties or interest. The prosecuting lawyer continued by saying, in your expert opinion, does Mr. Simon's conduct amount to tax evasion under Finnish law? The witness said, yes, it does. According to the Tax Procedure Act, repeated failure to declare income, use of undisclosed accounts, and ignoring lawful requests for information constitutes tax evasion. In this case, all 3 are present. The prosecuting lawyer said, thank you, Mr. This, he mentioned his name. One final question, have you submitted your findings and supporting documents to this court? The witness said, yes, I have. The full audit report, including financial records, account statements, and correspondence, has been submitted as evidence. The prosecuting lawyer said, thank you, no further questions at this time, my lord. Yes, and this is a cross-examination or an examination between the prosecuting lawyer and the witness. At this particular point in time, the lawyer from Simon's legal counsel team stood up and said, my lord, please permit me to speak. And he was given the permission to air his views and concerns. And he states, and I quote, my lord, before I proceed with cross-examining this witness, I feel compelled to place certain matters on record. Following the prosecution's examination of Mr. Liz, the witness, I will respect the work of the Finnish tax administration and acknowledged the importance of tax compliance in every democratic society. It is equally important that allegations of criminal conduct, especially serious ones such as tax evasion, are handled with accuracy, balance, and fairness. The witness has presented figures and conclusions which, on the surface, appear damaging. However, I intend to demonstrate through cross-examination and further evidence that these conclusions were drawn without fully considering the realities and context of Mr. Simon's financial situation. The so-called undeclared income includes funds from non-taxable sources, such as personal gifts from family, reimbursements, and one-time loans. The witness has not provided clear distinction between income that is taxable and income that is not. Furthermore, the assumptions that the defendant acted with the intent to deceive is just that, an assumption. There is no direct evidence to prove that Mr. Simon deliberately hid these funds or understood that he was in breach of the law. Tax law, as the court knows, can be complicated, especially for those who are self-employed, new to digital businesses, or lacking in professional guidance. The defense will also challenge the reliability of some of the documents submitted, including the interpretation of account activity that may have been misclassified or misunderstood. In short, my lord, what we have heard so far is a one-sided version of the event. It is now our duty to present the other side and to ensure that Mr. Simon is not judged solely by the weight of official language or financial jargon, but by the facts as they are truly are. With your permission, I am now ready to begin cross-examination. And the presiding judge responded by saying, thank you, counsel. The court has listened carefully to the prosecution's examination and to the response just delivered by the learned defense counsel. This court reminds all parties that while allegations of tax evasion are serious and deemed thorough scrutiny, the burden of proof lies with the prosecution and the defendant remains presumed innocent until proven otherwise. The issues raised by the defense are noted. It is indeed the role of this court to distinguish between fact and assumptions, between lawful income and taxable income, and between honest mistake and deliberate misconduct. We shall now proceed to the next phase, cross-examination of the witness by the defense. Let it be clearly understood, all testimony must remain truthful, respectful, and relevant. The court will not tolerate interruptions, evasive answers, or any attempt to distort the process. Defense counsel, you may begin your cross-examination. And here is a conversation had between the defense counsel and the prosecuting lawyer. Yes, Simon's lawyer started by saying, "Good morning," and he mentioned his name. The witness said, "Good morning." Like Simon's lawyer said, "I would like to begin by saying that I appreciate the work done by your office. I understand the tax audits are not easy, but I will be asking you some very direct questions today. I ask that you answer them clearly and honestly." The witness said, "Of course." The defense lawyer said, "Now, Mr. He mentioned his name. "Earlier you said that the Finnish tax administration began reviewing my client, Mr. Simon, because your system noticed differences between his declared income and what was reported by third parties. Is that correct?" The witness said, "Yes, that is correct." The defense lawyer said, "And you said that this difference was large, something like 70,000 euros or more." The witness said, "Yes. In some years, it was even closer to 90,000 euros. The lawyer said, "Now, just so the court is clear, does the tax administration system automatically assume that all deposits in a person's bank account are taxable income?" The witness said, "Not automatically, but large, unexplained deposits are flagged for further review." The defense said, "Exactly, and sometimes those deposits may come from sources that are not taxable. For example, family support, gifts, reimbursement, or even borrowed money. Correct?" The witness said, "Yes, that is possible, but we try to verify the nature of our funds during the audit." The lawyer said, "Thank you. Let me ask you directly. During your audit, did you ever meet with Simon in person?" The witness responded by saying, "No, we did not. He did not respond to our letters." And the lawyer said, "So, you never had a one-on-one discussion with him about these deposits?" And the witness responded by saying, "No, we did not." The lawyer said, "Did you ever request my clarification from him before you drew your final conclusions?" The witness said, "We sent 2 formal notices and gave him time to reply." The lawyer said, "But you just said you did not respond. So again, I ask, your office concluded that these deposits were undeclared income without ever speaking to the man." The witness said, "That is correct." The defense lawyer said, "Do you know if Mr. Simon had any financial training, any professional background in accounting or tax law?" The witness said, "I do not have that information." The lawyer said, "Did you consider that he might have misunderstood your letters or lacked the legal knowledge to know how to respond?" The witness said, "It is not uncommon for taxpayers to seek for help or contact us if they are confused." The lawyer said, "But in this case, he did not. There's a possibility, just a possibility, that he was overwhelmed or unsure of what to do." The witness responded by saying, "Yes, that is possible." The lawyer asked, "Now, about the 2 additional bank accounts you mentioned, are you suggesting that these were secret or illegal accounts?" The witness said, "They were not declared in tax filings and they were used regularly." Simon's lawyer asked, "But having multiple accounts is not a crime, is it?" The witness responded by saying, "No, it is not." The lawyer asked, "And using online platforms like PayPal or Wise for business or personal transfers also not illegal?" And he responded by saying, "No, not illegal." The defense lawyer continued by asking, "So your argument is not that he broke the law by having the accounts, but by failing to report income that went through them?" The witness said, "Yes, that is correct." The lawyer asked, "Now let's talk about those funds. Did you analyze the exact source of each transaction?" The witness said, "We reviewed the account statements. Many transactions were consistent with business activity." The lawyer continued by asking, "Were any of the transactions marked clearly as gift, loan, or family transfer?" The witness responded by saying, "Some were, yes." The lawyer continued, "And yet you classified all of them as taxable income?" The witness responded, "If they occurred regularly and were of a significant amount, we consider them income unless proven otherwise." The lawyer continued by asking, "But you just said no explanation was provided. So how could you prove that the money actually was?" The witness said, "We made our conclusions based on patterns and transaction history."
All right, we've actually heard that critical issue of Mazi Simon Ekpa's court case that is actually trending and happening currently. There is a lot of trend on Mazi Simon Ekpa Njoko, in Finland. And the reality is that apart from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Mazi Simon Ekpa is also a very important personality in the Biafran struggle. We have seen a man, out of nowhere who came out when everybody was afraid, when so many people were running because of the activities of the corruption of the Zoo government. Mazi Simon Ekpa came up and carried the mantle of leadership and took the Biafran struggle to another level, and he made reality to most of the prophets of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, where he said that Biafra will be talked about in international communities in other countries. So it is not just about Biafrans and Zoo knowing about Biafra. Other countries, the world, will discuss Biafra, and it is happening, because even international court ICC is actually interested in the issue of Biafra, Nigeria. Yes, United Nations, they cannot deny the fact that they do not know. They know, and that is why they were actually able to call for the immediate release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, knowing fully well that he is a prisoner of conscience. And these numbers continue to increase, and the awareness continue to grow stronger and stronger, because the world, at large, are beginning to know, what Biafran stands for, and what is gonna bring Biafra. And not just that, the kind of pains, the kind of genocidal attack that we continue to experience in Biafraland. We will continue to expose and make these things go viral. It's as simple as that. When you watch this video and you share to the next person, and the next person shares to another person, we continue to raise our voices, and we continue, to spread the message and the gospel of the Biafran struggle. Whoever have refused to hear, we continue to hear by fire, by force. The gospel of Biafra must be preached, as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has always, said it. It must be preached in one way or the other. Just the same way the Zoo government continue to bring in propaganda and controversy against Biafra, we will continue to also push controversy against them, but the only difference is that we bring our own controversies, with evidence. Just the same way Mazi Simon Ekpa defended himself in court with evidence, and the Zoo were unable to bring any concrete evidence to pin him down. Imagine the Zoo, coming out to bring tweets, like thousands of tweets, just to use to bring in Simon Ekpa or bring down Simon Ekpa. Is that evidence enough to bring a man you claim that he is a terrorist? Now we've actually seen that Mazi Simon Ekpa's case is no longer a case of a case of terrorism. It is now a case of tax fraud. That is what they are calling it, but one thing we know is that finally this case has come, or is quarter to come to an end. And not just to an end, but to the end in favor of the Prime Minister of the Biafran Republic government in exile, in the person of Prime Minister Simon Èkpá Njoko. On that note, we say thank you once again for joining us on this wonderful YouTube channel. Do not forget to do the needful as you've always done. Make sure you share this video to as many groups and platforms as possible. God bless you.